So we've now moved into the part of the day where we talk about my favourite topic, which is content. I know that strikes a bit of fear into people's hearts at the moment. It's ever changing. There are so many channels that we need to keep up with. So we're joined today by three amazing brand founders who are going to talk to us about their experiences with content. So if you could all introduce yourselves, who you are, what your brand does, that'd be great.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Este, Lalonde. I started my career as a content creator before that was even really a job, so about 15 years ago. And then about 2 years ago, I launched my own bath and body care brand called Mirror Water. We're all about self-reflection. So it's been an interesting transition, doing content now for a brand versus for myself, if that makes sense.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm the founder and CEO of Lunar Daily. So most of my career has been in the beauty wellness space, first at L'Oreal, and then most recently I was global head of brand at Charlotte Tilbury. But actually the idea for Lunar Daily came well before my career, ever since a 19-year-old experience of a really intense course of antibiotics completely screwed my microbiome. From that moment onwards, I wasn't able to use traditional body care products to care for my intimate skin, but I really resented that I had to use this god-awful category of products called the feminine hygiene category. Deep-rooted shame, stigma associated there. Fast forward 15 years, decided it was time for a change, so quit my job in the middle of the pandemic, which is arguably one of the most rogue decisions I've made, to set up Lunar Daily. So our strapline is head, vulva, knees and toes, and we are a microbiome balancing body care brand for all skin, even your most intimate, and we cater for all stages of womanhood. We just turned 2 last week, and we're a global brand, so we're stocked in the likes of Sephora in the US, Boots in the UK, as well as the DTC business.
Thank you. Marina?
Hi guys, I'm Marina. I'm a co-founder and brand director of Wonderskin. So Wonderskin is a beauty brand that is committed to disruptive innovation, and that's on the product side, on the marketing side as well. So on the product side, we are a brand that has our own in-house lab with beauty scientists innovating within traditional beauty space, innovating new tech-infused formulas, innovating new categories, and creating these transformational results for real customers. But then on the marketing side, we have fully integrated marketing and digital ads team that are just taking these beautiful moments and game-changing beauty moments and amplifying them and creating virality and brand awareness.
Lovely. Well, it's great to have you all here. Este, we'll come to you first. I'm sure a lot of people in the room might recognize you as one of the OG YouTubers. So can you talk to us about that transition from being a content creator yourself to now having to create content for your brand?
Yeah, I mean, I was quite naive, I think, in the beginning, and I thought, how hard can it be? I've done this for 15 years. But doing it for a brand is completely different. You have to think about a whole new tone of voice. You have to think strategically. I think when I started my career, I was really just sharing my life, and there wasn't really much thought put into it. So that's one big change. And I think also in the brand space, there are so many brands out there, and people are so selective about who they follow and what sort of content they want to consume. And you have to sort of toe the line of, talking about your brand and selling your products and also creating content that authentically resonates with the community around you. So it's a journey.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Yeah.
And when we spoke before, we were talking about authenticity and content. You mentioned that Mirror Water is all about slowing down. So how, in this really fast-paced TikTok world, are you creating content that is channeling that?
Yeah, it's a kind of an oxymoron to be churning out content when we're a brand that's all about prioritizing rest. But I think what we've sort of realized is relaxation. I don't even think it's possible to be relaxed anymore. I haven't been relaxed for my entire 33 years of my life. But we really kind of take the position more of prioritizing yourself. So in that sense, we can kind of create content around that. And I think what we're trying to talk about is realistic relaxation. We're not talking about stopping your whole life and taking 3 days off. It's just not practical for people. And you also have to test and learn with every piece of content that you make. So something that might work on my personal channel doesn't work for the brand and vice versa. And it's a lot about intuition when it comes to content, I think, and trying.
Yeah, constantly trying new things. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I hear from every brand founder, to be honest. So on to you then, Katie. Obviously, you mentioned you work in what shouldn't be a niche category, but is considered a niche category. So do you find you have struggles in terms of creating content within what the platforms deem as a niche category, and how do you navigate that?
So we haven't personally struggled with content yet, but it's something I'm very aware of. So I think, first of all, I would say we're not niche. Body care is not niche, and actually products that are for your vulva should not be niche. It needs to be normalised. But I think that absolutely is a challenge, and unfortunately, it's a challenge that affects female-founded and female-run brands and products fall in. So words like vagina and vulva are some of the most censored words on Meta. But also that's in the same category as products if they're marketing towards pain relief because of period pains or because of menopause symptoms or even sexual wellness. And of 100 brands that were surveyed by the Centre for Intimacy of Justice, 100 of those brands had ads blocked by any of the social platforms. So it's something we're very aware of. And if I'm literally talking, I know brands that have woken up one day and their entire account has been blocked. They literally have to set up entire new business manager pages, and for businesses, particularly DTC first businesses that rely on performance media, that's pretty scary. So for us, we haven't had any ads blocked yet. I think that's because partly our positioning, because we're actually a very inclusive positioning that is for all skin. We're not just advertising products specifically for intimate skin, but also we've really had to learn how to get around that, and that is something we have to. Any brands within our space have to deal with, but it's also how you then don't rely on those channels exclusively. We have a marketing mix where we are proactively reducing our reliance on performance media and leaning much more into earned owned content. It's also why you might have seen we projected the word vulva onto the Tate. So we don't just rely on online channels, and actually how do we maximise the offline channels to drive online. But it's a huge issue, and it's something that is changing. We were one of a group of brands that campaigned against Meta and successfully changed the guidelines, but we're not there yet. And it's something that really does need to change because, unfortunately, it's now not just Meta. I know people that TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it, have had stuff blocked or banned.
Yeah, I think it's outrageous, but to be honest. So can I ask as well, in terms of metrics then, what would you say you consider really important when it comes to measuring the performance of your content? What do you focus on and not focus on?
So I think it depends what you're trying to do with the content. So I think if we put a paid or performance lens on it, so you're driving to D2C ultimately to hopefully drive conversion. For me, most of our content is video first, and so video hold rate, video view rate, not just like slapdash impressions. It's like has somebody actually watched my content to the end, particularly because our type of content, it's really important that we tell a story. It's not something that in necessarily 3 seconds you're going to get the message across. And then obviously things like conversion. And for us, it's actually profitability on first purchase. We're a brand that today we're fairly mass, and unless you're a D2C brand where your AOV is north of 50 quid and or you naturally in subscription, I think it's risky territory to sell that you're relying on LTV, and lots of startup brands won't have the runway to rely on LTV. You're sort of selling a dream that we think in a year we're going to turn this profitable, particularly with the algorithm changes. But for us, sticking with performance, the other thing we really look at is we really use those metrics to inform our retail business. They play a role not just for informing our D2C strategy, but when we're pushing ads to retailers, we'll get clicks, but we won't get conversion data. So it plays that role. And then I think of content outside of performance. So a lot of today we've spoken about, performance-led content, but for us, lots of the really important content, the objective isn't to drive conversion. And also it's just to learn a bit because, there is this awful video of me on TikTok explaining the difference between a vulva and a vagina. And it wasn't intended as a piece of content. It was like some behind the scenes content of being a podcast and ended up getting 1 million views. So I've fully accepted I'm the girl in the pub that someone's going to go, there she is. That's what she talks about. And it was a piece of content where it did just go viral. And I think lots of the content we're producing, we're not trying to get somebody down the funnel. We're trying to start a conversation. And ultimately that's the content that ends up doing well.
More authentic content, absolutely. And so, Marina, I think people will be interested to hear about the success that Wonderskin has had on TikTok Shop. Could you talk to us a little bit about the logistics and how that came about?
Yeah, sure. So before I start with the TikTok Shop success, love-hate relationship, we're currently in the love stage of that relationship. So that was the
I've heard that a few times
successes.
today.
But going back to innovation, so one of our first products was based on Wonderskin, Wonder Blading technology, which is the first innovation that our lab produced, and that is a lip stain. But lip stain in a very visual format. So you apply a blue mask, and then you wipe it off, and then you have your lips stained for the rest of the day, sometimes 24 hours, depending on the depth and pigment of the shade. So overall, the product is very visual. That's one of the hero products that we have. So before we got onboarded on TikTok Shop, and that was a year and a half ago, I think, we were also, I think, as one of the brands mentioned here, we're part of the pilot program with them. So we had organic virality, so we came to TikTok Shop and kind of like those ads with that content, with organic viral content. And we tried different offers, we tried different type of ads and price points and a lot of things, and it just didn't work. For a year, it didn't work for us until we realized that that has to be changed. So the viral application and that, show-stopping thing with the blue magic doesn't work for TikTok Shop. So we had to change the narrative. We had to change creative to something more educational, to going back to USPs of the product, which are amazing. So the product is waterproof, transfer-proof, and you can go about your day. It can last for up to 24 hours, depending on the shade. So really narrating that story to the customer, that you have to have it, just not because it's super fun to apply and super fun to watch, but it's really is useful for you in a daily life. And let's face it, like most of the women here, I'm sure, we all watch beautiful ladies on Instagram applying makeup and using all different products, but we have a couple of products in our makeup bag. We apply our makeup in the morning and then we go about our day. We don't have time to really care about those little details of like smudged lipstick, or you're on stage, I don't want my lipstick all over the microphone, I don't know, all over the glass. So I think really giving the customer this idea and connecting with them emotionally on the basis of this is the product that is really fun, new way to apply your lip color, but something that is really helpful in giving you back your time, and then also helpful in giving you some of the freedoms of moving around, feeling yourself, having your brows same color in the morning when you wake up, and lips staying throughout the day. So yeah, I think the creative was the main thing that let us grow in the past 6 months. So we took it from 50 orders to 500 orders a week, and now 5,000 orders a week, just because we adjusted that part.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I could honestly sit and talk about beauty content all day, but sadly it's the end of the panel. But thank you so much to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.